also there are key parts of for the concession framework. One thing you have to know about the concession framework, the key part is one independent variable. This is sometimes is a cuse or thing that I can change. Also, we have dependent variable, the effect or outcome is which I need to measure. Also, sometime in a concession framework, there is a connecting line or errors. This is a visual science showing how a variable affect each other. Also, why it is important sometimes this concession framework. It is bring clarity, turn big abstract and ideas into clear fixtures. It is also guide the study. Keep my research and focus on the specific goals. Like if my goal to that field which I need to conduct like a behavior change for around community or bring some other aspect like waterborne disease, how to chase them away from the community. Also, it's show connections. It can help people how my research ideas work in the real world, because sometimes you need also to do a research based on what world need actually to be done. So there I can stop. Somebody can add again. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. Maybe I can make a quick comment. Colleagues, can you hear me?
Yes,
Doctor, can hear you.
Yeah, my gadgets may go off anytime. I've been able to make some of you co-hosts so that you'll be able to, allow others to share. I don't know whether I can get the president. I wanted to make him a host. I'm in the village. I went for burial. I lost one of those patients. I think you people know. I was teaching in the middle of the class, and I told you I had patients and I had to rush for that emergency. So I travel up country. I'm in Bukedea, to be specific, in Kasoka village, Kasoka parish. Kasoka is the home where I come from, and this is my place where I am now. So I just wanted to appreciate the fact that you people prayed for me. One of the patients still alive and kicking, the other one actually died. So we're here to perform that ceremony. I might not be able to sustain this because the cleaning exercise here was tough. They were not allowing anybody to open. I couldn't even have breakfast. But fortunately for me, I was moving in a police car and I've been able to get at least bread and some sugar. So I don't know how it is in other parts of Uganda. Today is a national cleaning day. So when you see I'm off, it's because my phones were all off and I only managed to tell somebody, send me, convert this into data that I've been able to, join, which is going to drain and it will go off anytime. So I was only praying that you people have a discussion and continue with the groups and we complete all the groups. I don't know which group is supposed to be presenting now. I can only see you are 47. You're supposed to be 370 something. These areas where we discuss is where I set exams. I don't want to repeat myself. Actually, I've already set. So we're not going to drag anybody to presentations. We shall not do that. But the better that you complete this presentation. I think the other time we had group 1 to 8. Now we're remaining maybe from 9 to 15. I don't know. I've just joined late because I was not able to. I was still on road. So having said that, I will wish you people a good discussion. I can only sustain up to where my data sustains me. Because driving from here to town, those guys were very uncooperative. Nobody could open to allow me have any data. So I converted the little I had, and Zoom takes a lot of data. I think you people appreciate that. So is the class president there? I want to make him a host. I've made about 4 people co-hosts here. Is the president, end of the president, are you here?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay. Umar. Speak again. I want to get that. Yeah. Okay, unless there are questions, because with me, I'm moving off
Doctor.
anytime.
Yes,
I will
Doctor.
remain
We have
on.
a question.
I'll
Doctor,
leave
based
you.
on our yesterday's actual discussion, some clarity on those who had technical challenges on the quiz, and something about a few members who were eventually not allowed in a few groups that we assigned to them at the end because they joined late.
Mr. President, I was able to communicate to you. If you don't mind, share that WhatsApp message on a WhatsApp group. I'm just an employee in Utamu. I hope you people know that. Every institution, they have their own policies. And the policies in Utamu is that they give assignments, we call them cuts, course work and tests at a specific time. They gave us coursework 1, which you people had given you, I think, an assignment of a research proposal. Unfortunately, people were complaining and I could hear and I follow. Well, I was in the mortuary with my dead people, but let's learn to appreciate. I gave you time to come up with a proposal right from day one. And I do that. I normally give my assignment 1 on day 1 when we start the semester. Then they again gave us another time to have tests. That course, that week also, I think I warned the people and told them that we're going to have tests this time. Now, those people with the challenges, Mr. President, I was honest with you. I was driving when we were coming. I had a drive anyway, but I was typing that when we were moving with a dead body. And I expected you to have posted that, but you did not. I said I can support everybody with a challenge, but it doesn't come from me. It comes from management, it comes from administration. There is normally a time they say those people who had challenges, they are going to have remedial tests. When that time comes, let them prepare. This platform is being monitored. Even right now when we're in this class, there is an administrator, they will not speak. This is recorded and I normally make sure that I record it. If they found out that I've given a test when they have not instructed, what do? I lose my job. But of course, with me, it's about passion. I teach from my heart. Passion. It's not about any payment. So, having said that, I've said so many words because I wanted you to really get it right from the horse's mouth. If, say, academic registrar, the DVC, VC, or director quality assurance, we have one, by the way, says this is now the time for us to have remedial classes. I mean remedial tests. I wouldn't have any problem. What I'm waiting for, I've actually requested them that there are people who had challenges here and there. When can they have this done? I don't know whether they will give you at the end of the exams or before the exams, I don't know. But the best thing you can do as a president, because I've done this in other classes, is to compile the names of the students and you share with me. Then I'll tell them that these are the students who have not completed their courseworks using different, maybe reasons, I don't know. Now, they will check in the system. There are even people who have attempted in some other courseworks, you know. They have attempted and they want to attempt again. So it is not really, I don't normally want any student to fail any of my modules. But it becomes very technical for somebody to say, you know, in my country, I was reading that. The test was supposed to start at 10, me I woke up at 11. You don't use those reasons, by the way. Don't use those ones. They will think you are not a serious person. Because there are very many international students here. I've traveled, I'm an over-traveled man. And I know the system. If we say 10, that is 10 a.m. or 1000 hours East African time. Convert it in your time, colleagues. But I will support everyone. I will support everyone. The biggest challenge now I'm going to remain on call until this data sustains me. From here to where I can buy data from is quite a distance, and my gadgets are all down. I'm just trying to test her, and this one is also down, and all of them are down. The car used is a police car. We did not have a charger inside, so I couldn't do much. But it's not now about charging because I have this gadget I'm using. My only trouble now is if data goes off, then I may not be able to continue following. But Mr. President, am I loud and clear?
You are very loud and clear. Thank you so much, Doctor.
What have I said? What have I said?
So, Doctor, you've actually given your submission about those who have been having challenges, and then you've been very clear about we owning basically, some things that are within our control, like time zones and all that. And you've emphasized clear communication as a key aspect in this learning and being cooperative. And then I think you've been very clear that rules govern everything, and timelines are very crucial. We can't push back times, especially on the key milestones like assignment, this and all that. But it's basically our responsibility to collectively work as a team and basically support one another within the confined, acceptable guidance of the university. Where they can give us a permission, we shall cooperate. Where they they stick the guidelines and timelines, we shall have, of course, little to do. But what we can actually do is be positive that we can still do better, because at the end of the day, our goal is to ensure that we have the knowledge that we need to push our careers and also impact the communities that we come from. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you so much. You have gotten it right. So we are not denying them the opportunity. Just compile the names so that I can use a good reason, not reason that students are using. Compile the names, send them. I will send them to management and tell them, let's support the students, have a remedial test. I think that is it.
I think, Doctor, that will be very, very helpful. And also, I was able to communicate your request to ensure that each of the presentations has the new group members for the assignment, whether they came late, to basically account for them. So that's something I really passed on, and I hope the group leaders took that into account, because I never got feedback when I communicated, but I believe it's something that
I was on the way, and I was on the road, and yeah. Then the students were complaining that they were seeing only one assignment, the other assignment. I teach 6 modules. And these modules, you update them one at a time. You know, my heart was bleeding when people complain. Now, the biggest class I have is your class. When you see one assignment, appreciate. I saw 1 or 2 people, I think were, thinking like researchers. Where I mark these scripts, I download them and mark them. I want you to imagine that you're marking in one program, you have like 300 or 400. This class has got 370. You mark a proposal. You don't just give marks. Of course, I know there could be some people in other institutions who do that. I mark, and what you see is genuinely mark you deserve to have. So you have to continue updating. I finished updating those marks at 4. That is 4 a.m. And some people who thought like researchers, when they woke up in the morning, they were able to respond. But there are others who were still complaining that they are not gotten. So much as I was mourning, I would laugh and say, but this person is just supposed to make sure that they either restart their gadget or put data. Me, when I go off, no, my data is off, or something, such that you can, recheck when you have, seen that the machine has been restarted and you have enough data. There is nobody who has not gotten the results. Everybody has gotten the results, unless you did not do and you never uploaded. But every uploaded script, I marked, and I started marking from the time when you people uploaded. So if there are still such cases, please know how to use the online services. Kindly you call the online officers to be able to do that. If you see somebody, an assignment has been done and it's a take home, and from nowhere there are marks, there has never been any mark given. They have just given marks. I'm not that person. I have conscience. I have conscience. I have to ensure that I download the script. And you don't check where normally they say assignment not yet, blah, blah, that kind of thing. Me, I download, mark, after marking, I put on the system. I don't go back again to begin adding the other side. That is too much work. If you found there is a person who does that, then you know there is a problem. Because honestly speaking, I'm a policeman. I have to do police work. I have a family. I've even lost a family member. I'm even supposed to go and bury my grandmother today, who died even before my mother was married into this family. So I have two burials in the same day. So sometimes before you type something, try to begin thinking about this person who sacrifices the whole night to do what he's supposed to do. Others have gotten, yes, you'll also get, because the ones that are update, I finish, I update. And the system is stubborn. The person who is number one, you update that one, it goes off up to the last. And the problem, they are mixed up. 370 something students. So if there are 150 who did, you keep on sorting. It's disturbing. So by the time when you finish, the first one has gotten, the last one has not gotten. What do? They are not thinking like researchers, they go on and complain. But what I wanted the president to have come up to do, because see, I started with those other smaller modules, where the president is an M&E guy, and they had finished those ones. Say this man is handling module by module. And even when he has already put this one, the online is very easy, because I just go and click a button and say, update all the marks of online. And there is no forgery. If you go to 0.25, that's what will be transferred, and that's what you see, which will be respected. And I think people really passed. People were getting 15 out of 15, and I was a very proud man that I think I've done a good job. 15 out of 15. That was perfect. 80% of the people were getting 15 out of 15. Only one person got a quarter mark. I don't know what happened to that person. You see. So colleagues, that is great. And I think, generally speaking, this module has been highly passed, because people currently, out of 40, people are getting, there are those ones who are getting 40 out of 40, 39 out of 40, 37 out of 40, 36 out of 40, 35 out of 40, that kind of thing, which is good to me. And I feel proud in there. And I know you are going to pass. But before my data probably gets drained, I want you to understand 3 things. 1, I set my exams from where you are going to make presentations from. That is where I set the exams. Those 15 areas is where I set the exams from. 2, there will be a compulsory question. And that compulsory question, colleagues, is going to come from the chapter 1 of your research proposal. I will bring it in a scenario form. What will I want you to do? 1, identify the title of the problem. That I will have brought as a scenario. It could be a national cleaning day for Uganda. It is there today. I was only able to pass, and they're saying, who's this man? Is coming from where? Of course, they know. I work for Uganda Police Health Services. People were, no, I went and begged one woman, please open behind, just give me a bread, sugar, some tea leaves. I've not come to arrest anyone. So I want to understand it. If somebody cannot see his marks in the, you put your name there, then I will be able to check. Maybe when I go to Kampala, because here I think I will have issues of data. But why don't you first be patient and let's think like researchers? Get this, because you're complaining. I'm giving tips on how I can, I don't know, Mr. President, do I handle complaints or I give you areas of interest before my gadget goes off?
Dr. Areas of interest. That I would appreciate.
Let's begin thinking like researchers, colleagues. I'm giving you areas of interest, you are complaining, you'll get those marks. What you need to do is restart your, I don't know, I hope you have done the tests. I picked that name, is it Wood something? I'll check and be able to update you, but might not be in this deep village. Because my problem now is to focus on burying 2 people. And after that, I think I will be able to, maybe when I'm in a hotel room, that kind of thing. But I gave you areas of interest and how to answer my questions if you must actually pass well. 1 is I'll set the exams from the 15 questions that I've given you for discussion. So you can choose to have a discussion or you don't. The classes ended and I gave my remarks. Now I'm giving you areas of interest. So make sure I promise to upload the dissertation, I will do that. Thank you. So long as these keep coming, we shall not be getting these areas because my data might be running down. The dissertation I'm going to give you, but I might not be able to download it here now. Maybe when I get to Kampala, that will be Monday.
I think
so colleagues, is it okay? Can I be allowed to do this or I stop here? I'm a morning man. They have already finished drinking. So what do we do? Do I stop here and I take key? Okay.
Areas of interest.
Areas of interest. The complaints. I will stop the areas of interest. Now the dissertation I'm going to send. I think that's okay. Any other complaints?
Colleagues, some order. Doctors.
No, it's okay. That's what you people want. No more areas of interest. Let me address complaints.
Doctor, we are not actually. Doctor, I think it's a good interest that say that for us we don't raise any complaints now. Whoever has a complaint,
but you're not controlling your class. People only are interested in the passing. They are not interested in getting knowledge. I keep on putting that thing. Let's think like researchers. Listening is better. Then you respond. And disarguments when my workers are listening is not also good. So what do? Do we continue with the areas of interest or we address the complaints?
We are going on with the areas of interest, and I request every colleague who has a question to basically prepare it and share it after this course, because the more we send these messages here, they basically bring it over interruption. So once you have a concern, instead of like typing in the chat, please do reserve it such that we don't have any kind of like inconveniences. Doctor will address those things when he's back and having a comfortable time. At the moment, we are looking at areas of interest, and then from there, we shall see what will come next, which are the presentations. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. President. I think you have guided. I also know sometimes I'm being accused for giving areas of interest as somebody leaking exams. And people are recording and they send it to above. It is known in the universities, all the places I go to, you fail at your own risk. I give you what I feel I'm going to set and where I set from. So one thing is that I'll set the questions from the 15 questions that I gave you. That is one. Two, I will set a compulsory question from chapter 1 of your proposal. And the proposal that I'm talking about, I'll give a scenario. In this scenario, this is how I disseminate the marks. Number one, when I bring this, Malinga, reduce your tone. I'm in class, eh? These are guys who are working on the graveyard. So, I don't know. What did I say? Compulsory question? It is going to come from chapter 1. The chapter 1, I will bring a scenario. That scenario, I'll want you to identify the name of the problem. Call it a title. This time round is not the topic, a title. And the title is normally smaller than, I would call it narrower than the topic. The topic is broader. I don't know whether I'm communicating. So when I bring that scenario, identify the scenario. Identify the title. That title should have 2 variables at most. 2 variables, IV, DV. I'm now telling you this. But if the scenario requires that you identify 3 IVs, please do. Then the DV. That's what I want you to understand. Because I will be giving marks, and the 40 marks will be divided that way. Then, colleagues, I want you to ensure that you also are able to slightly, if you can, construct the background of that study. You could use a broader to narrow perspective according to Mugenda and Mugenda. You could use, the four perspectives: historical perspective, conceptual, is theoretical perspective, conceptual perspective, contextual perspective. That's how it goes. Historical, theoretical, conceptual, contextual. Smalls, depending on how the scenario is going to ask. Background, the problem statement. Small, you could put your recorder somewhere, I don't care. In the problem statement, this is what I expect. Describe the ideal situation. Describe the actual situation. Describe the gap. Appreciate what has been done. And make sure you rubbish what you have appreciated. Slightly with the statistics, if they are there. Because I'm going to bring a scenario, everything just identified. Colleagues, then bring some hope. I can ask for that. That in 10 lines, write a problem statement. But I'm not going to give you these tips I've given you. What I have told you is what I will be marking, and that's what I will be requiring. I will know you in class. Colleagues, another area will be the purpose of the study. Colleagues, the purpose of the study normally takes the title of the study. Please do that. Then, if I ask for the specific objectives, research a problem, which would be the research questions, which you are going to probably identify the research hypothesis, because I'm going to make sure that this is going to be maybe quantitative and qualitative. So the research hypothesis must be there. All of those areas are going to be having marks, and I'm now giving you my marking guide. But I've not given you the scenario. But the scenario will require those, and you'll have your 40 marks. Colleagues, before you start talking about the specific objectives, research questions, and research hypotheses, make sure somewhere, even if I don't ask, put a conceptual framework. And make sure you give the relationships, either many to many, many to one, one to one, and one to many, depending on the way you will do that, and put the source there, originating from what I would have called, the scenario. You get the point? Then significance of the study, and then justification of the study. All these are the areas. And those are the areas I will be asking, and each of these areas got marks. I have not started setting, but I'm going to set. So colleagues, if you have done that, what about the scope? The scope should be time, content, and then geographical scope. From the scenario, all those things will be there. That, colleagues, that I've just explained will take you 40 marks, or give you 40 marks. Then I will set other questions, choosing from, if I've chosen that, then now we shall have these questions. Could they be 15? I don't know whether the university will allow me, they will guide me how many I can put. Then I put, say, 8 or 10, whatever they will guide me, because they are normally moderated. Choose 3 of whatever areas today you have discussed. It's only a person who loves to fail who will fail this. Each of those 3 that you'll have taken or chosen will be able to allow you as the module with flying colors, depending on which ones you'll have chosen, colleagues. Having said that, I want to thank you for listening to me. But every question in section B carries equal marks, 20. But this is what I would want you to understand, my marking guide. If I'm asking the question, say, let's talk about the research methodology. Within the research methodology, there are key things I want you to understand. 1, the research design. Research design. But before we talk about the research design, Let's talk about the whole process. One, the research philosophy. Let me set it this time around. Understand it very well. Two, the research design. Three, the data collection methods. The pros. That is advantages and the disadvantages. Four, the data collection tools. Understand them. There's a difference between a method and a tool. Then three, the data collection techniques. Four, how to determine sample size. But get to understand issues to do with unit of analysis and unit of inquiry. We now need to begin speaking like researchers. Unit of analysis, unit of inquiry. Get to understand those now because they will come. What does it mean when they say unit of analysis and unit of inquiry? We have all this in notes. If I didn't touch them, they are all within. Just go to the module and download anything and begin understanding these things. I've given you assignments on these areas, but the notes are there. Real slides and some notes, they are there. So it is normally really a piece of cake that you can take and you love everything about it. So colleagues, other than that, I want you also to ensure that you look at issues of data analysis, both quantitative and qualitative. How do you analyze the data? In one of the groups, we're talking about semantic analysis. Semantic analysis is normally done for qualitative data. And you need to understand that. And it will come. So begin understanding what semantic analysis is all about. Yes. Then ethical consideration when you are doing research. That is going to come. So colleagues, having said that, I've now covered chapter 1 and chapter 3. Now chapter 2, questions will come. What am I talking about? Literature review. Understand how to identify literature, from which source, and what are the sources, primary sources, secondary sources. What do you do? What's the process of reviewing literature? Assuming you are writing your proposal, what are the key areas of the literature review that you ought to understand? How is it numbered? It's numbered. 2.1 is the introduction. 2.2, theoretical review. What did you use, or what do you intend to use to review your literature? Which theory is going to anchor? 2.3, conceptual review. What are the key concepts? Those are the same at the title. Make sure they come out well. Then you also need to look at issues of actual review. That is objective by objective. If you have 3 objectives, make sure you review literature according to that. And I normally need a cross-referenced one. Colleagues, this is what I was trying to think about. Because if I don't give you this guidance and my data is done, then it becomes a problem, and then you begin cursing. I don't want you to curse an innocent man. I'm not a cursed man, I'm a blessed person. And I get my blessings from the people I talk to. That is you. They are the people who make me a great person behind. So you fail at your own risk. Now, that was number 2. I want you, I've given you the areas of interest based on what you people are going to discuss. So we started with I'm bringing a compulsory question. How to answer it is identify the point. State it. State the point. After stating the point, explain the point. After explaining the point, give an example. After giving the example, refer to the point. There. Have never changed. Every institution I started teaching in 2003, that was in dental school. Every institution I go to, yesterday when I was driving, I was telling my dean, sir, I'm just going to buy the coffin. You'll know I'm giving you business. Zimbabwe wants somebody to externally examine a PhD. I said, please, where do I get your CV? I told him, go to the website, download it. Say, doctor, I've seen this is enough. 10 pages, send it. This is what I examine, and it's my marking guide everywhere you go. I don't change. So colleagues, do that. Don't give me a quarter page. I've given you a booklet. Some of you are going to meet physically, and I will be moving. I'm sometimes looking comic and it's not this gloomy face you are seeing today because I'm mourning. That's why I'm in black all throughout. But I'm normally a friendly person, even in an examination room. And I tell you, how many booklets do you need? The more booklets you write and the points you make, the more marks you get. That is from me. I don't weigh them, but I look at the content. But if I am saying answer 4 questions, 1 is compulsory. This is for all of you who I'm also teaching in other modules. You are all here. Then you begin, sketching answers. I need 40 marks to give you, and you are sketching, and I've given you 10 out of 40. Will you be able to pass? I'm saying state the point, explain the point, give the example, and refer to the point. What is wrong with that? If I'm saying illustrate, draw something. This is now English. If I'm saying conceptualize, make sure you draw the conceptual framework. If I'm saying operationalize, I'm talking about the dimensions within the conceptual framework. And that will be speaking like a literature. I'm not going to say draw a conceptual framework and indicate this. No. Speaking like a researcher, I would say conceptualize the variables. And let's know how you have operationalized them. I can also say, come up with the SMART objectives. Then you are going to say you are going to break the general objective to make the specific objectives. You will not be speaking like a researcher. You are speaking like somebody in my village where I am now here. Kasoka village. It's my home. So colleagues, this is important that we abide to these rules. But I also wanted to say something. Answer all the 4 questions. You could attempt the other 3 questions if they're cheaper for you in section B. Choose the best 3, give it your best. Then make sure you also manage the time and manage the first questions. That is the compulsory one. The moment you fail the compulsory question, it means you have failed 2 questions because it carries 4 marks. 40 marks. So 20. Just master your conceptual, your chapter 1 and apply it on the scenario and things will come. But make sure when you're applying, it should not also be something, because I know there are students who normally come with the people like normally reading, what would I call it? Past papers, then they come. Scenarios differ. Don't expect me to bring the same scenario, no? I'll change the scenario, but the same things I want from that chapter 1. Colleagues, there are 3 sections of a proposal. Section 1 is the preliminary pages. Section 2 is the body. Section 3 is the appendices. They are numbered differently. In Utamu, my mighty university, we want the preliminary pages only to be the title page, the declaration page, the approval page, the table of contents, list of appendices, of acronyms if you have there, list of tables if you have them, list of, what would I call it? Maybe figures if they are there in the scenario, depending on what. I can ask you to write a proposal. And I say, I want this to be the 40 marks. Something that you have claimed you have written, you use the AI to help you. This time around, you will be alone. I will say, write a proposal, giving the 3 sections. The body begins from chapter 1, page 1, introduction. Introduction, chapter 1. That's the body. Page 1 is going to be starting from there. 1, 2, 3, 4. It stops at the last page of the reference list. So there are 3 chapters. Chapter 1, introduction. Chapter 2, literature review. Chapter 3 is the methodology. And it stops at the last page of the reference list. Then the other section, colleagues, for those of you who may not have attended any of the classes, is the appendices. What do I require in the appendices? That should not miss at all. 1, the tools. And you can actually say appendix 1. Then you put the tool. If it is a questionnaire, appendix 1, then you can say research questionnaire. Appendix 2, maybe an interview guide. Appendix 3, that kind of thing. Number them that way, but they are numbered still differently. This may not come, but I want you to understand, because going forward, you are going to meet somebody by the names of Dr. Alpal Wilfred Caucus in the research methodology seminars. That will be later, towards your last semester of, actually the last semester of your final year, if you are doing a master's anyway. But for those doing a PhD, after this, you stop here. But it's always good to know, because ideally at the end of the day, they are going to consult you. Excuse me, Dr. Tuke, like yesterday my dean asked me, want you to examine students from a university in Zimbabwe. Send us your CV now, much as your money. Excuse me, sir, go to the website, download it and send it there. It will at least give you that this man has supervised master students, 400 plus, which is not bad. So colleagues, this is something that you need to understand and make sure you do what is required. Finally, colleagues, because I know you are going to have your presentation. I'm going to be listening, but I've already made a class president the host. But when you see me off, it's not the battery, my data will have gone down and I cannot buy it in the village. So what I will do is I will have a blessing for you people. Because around midday is when the vehicle is coming. I'm going to exhume my grandmother who died, I think, in 1958. The reason why I'm doing this, my father, used to love her so much. He died prematurely around my age. He was knocked down by a vehicle. He used to bang on his chest and tells me to quit to Alupo. Alupo is the name of his mother. That's my grandmother. Alupo comes from soil. So I'm just going to scoop some little soil, put in a coffin, and I bury it together with this niece of mine. So colleagues, this is very important. Very important that we abide to this and pass. I want everybody to have an A. I was feeling, my heart was bleeding when I was seeing people with 0.25, a mark. I said, but what happened to this person? Did he attempt that kind of thing? So, Mr. President, when you are including names of these people, look at some of these fellas and let's see how we can, help them. Although sometimes the system says those ones who have attempted, they should not. But I will see how I can talk to the e-learning people to allow all of those people who missed and those ones who did not perform well, so that we can have two lists: the ones who never performed well, and then the ones who attempted. Because why not? Everybody should get an A. Why not? So that you only come here to look for some marks. Me, I'm not a mediocre man. Don't aim at getting 60, aim at getting 100. There are people here who are getting all these marks. And don't complain when you see a class president getting 5 out of 5 in attendance. They deserve it, and that's the merit they get. Yeah, but I gave at least everybody, even those ones who attended once, I've given them 4 out of 4 attendance, then also 4 out of 4 for online. I don't know where have I gone wrong. And there are people who really struggled with the proposal. You really see this one, I think I should have given a 0. I think the list got a 7. But highest, people have gotten, 12, which is bad. I mean, that's very, very, very good. When I was doing from this university, even with all these PhD programs I had, they gave me 8 out of 15. I went and looked at the person who marked my script. I said, but the people you have given 14 and 15 out of 15, I'm the one who took them through. What happened? I kept quiet, but well, I got an A at the end of the day. So I had to work extraordinarily hard. The person who asked for the dissertation, I'm going to send it to you. So colleagues, having said that, I can take around 5 questions. But all I wish for you is well. If somebody tells you that I hate him or I hate her, that person hates himself or herself. The last graduation, somebody in some school went and told one of the professors that finally I've graduated. Said, what happened? Said, that man called 2K there, did not want me to graduate. So the professor laughed and said, which 2K? That one, who is the MC? Said, no, go and apologize, because that is not that man. We know him. This student had never done any coursework and had never attended any of my classes. And I told the student that, no, you never attended, and the system shows. But I can help you, give you the exam to do, but you're not going to pass. Because the people who are going to pass my exams are those ones who attend to my classes, because the examples I give, they even know. Some of them even give the examples of my village. I come from Kasoka village, this is where I'm seated now. Kasoka sub-parish, this is where I am. Kasoka parish, where I am now. Bukedia sub-county, this is where I am. This is the district which is being spoken so much about today. Kasoka, you know, Bukedia sub-county, Bukedia county, Bukedia district. I was happy when I came last night. I found security. What are these called? Street lights. I said, this is good. We have developed. So, colleagues, Mr. President, can I take some questions? Then you can continue with your discussions, even in your small groups, no worries. Because I also wanted you to know that these discussions help you to pass the exams, not coursework. I want to put this categorically clear. Because the CBE that I've been fighting for has not really yielded a lot. Because we're supposed to have 50% coursework, 50% exam, but we're still on 40-60. That's why you have seen 5% was on attendance, 5% was on online participation, 15% on the proposal or any other module that you people have done, coursework, take home, then another 15%, the tests. All of you have passed my tests. If there's anybody who has failed, then you failed yourself, because there's an opportunity for you to ensure that this can be redone, especially when I'm given the mandate by the university. Remember, when I'm not able to do it, the university will have said, "2K, what did you do? You gave a test after the time had gone." Like you people did this test last weekend, when they had closed it on Friday. I told them, but colleagues, dearly, how do I set a test on Friday when these people are being told on a Saturday? That was my argument. There are those who did it on Sunday. I said, I teach these people on a Sunday. How can I give them a test on Friday? So that kind of thing. So they said, okay, Dr. 2K, we forgive you, but you are very an assertive man. But what do? I have to be assertive. So anything that we are to do now is going to be coming from above. And above is the University Council, the University Senate, the University Management. And I'm not any of those. Although I used to be there, I got all the accolades. I'm now an ordinary senior lecturer. No position. So, thank you so much. God bless all of you. Question time.
Thanks so much, Doctor, for all the encouragement and the reassurance. Please, if you have any question, you can raise up your hand so we can actually become orderly. Thank you. Anyone with a question?
Go for it.
Is anyone having a question? Doctor, it seems like you've really done a great job, and everyone is satisfied with the work and the clarity you've given. So I think we are really good to go, unless when someone has a question. But we are good. And by the Doctor, I want to appreciate you when it comes to the proposal. I know many colleagues submitted late, but you were very considerate. You didn't penalize that much anyone. So everything basically relied on the content other than the deadline. So, Doctor, we are very appreciative of that and everything that you've shared throughout the entire course. We are really grateful. Some of us have been here for the first time, but from our, private chats, from our group discussions, I think everyone has been very, very, very positive. And despite our, work schedules as well as in professions, we really appreciate your commitment, your best clarity, but also being holding on the ethics and basically setting the standards for us to be sure that we comply with the standards you want us to. Basically, you don't want us to be average people. You want us to become very, very excellent people. So we are very appreciative that you held us those standards, and we shall keep doing the same. And you can assure you that nothing has been in vain, and we are going to walk the talk. We are going to walk the talk, and by that I mean we are going to practice the theories and everything that you shared in this class. So we are very appreciative, and we hope to do the very best and make you so proud. You exceptional
Yeah,
and be a
thank you.
great person.
Thank you so much.
Doctor, you are very, very...
people are asking a lot of questions. Others are inboxing me. They want to see my home. Well, if time allows, maybe I can scan through. But somebody was asking how we can say God bless you in our language. God bless you means Kidari Edeke Papa Onikere. God bless each of us. One thing I want us to know is that life does not end in the classroom. It doesn't end in the classroom. Yesterday when I was picking this body, I met around 12 doctors. They were seeing me picking the body from the mortuary. And they were saying, Dr. Tuke, what could have happened? These are students I met when I was in Namilyango College. I don't know whether we have OBs of Namilyango College here. They were all from Namilyango, different colleges. Say, Dr. Tuke, you taught us how to brush our teeth. We are very, very grateful. We are now doctors who are here doing internship. I felt so humbled. Even when I lost a dear one, I said, well, I lost a niece. And this niece I lost, I'm picking the body and I'm taking for burial. Say, doctor, we're told that you were coming to this hospital every day, and you know the way you teach on top of your voice. You've been teaching while almost wanted to teach while you're in the NICU. Why? I said, well, I have a lot to do. And I teach every day. Said, but I was in a private ward. What happened? Said, no, your voice was being heard, and I think some professors were saying, this man, even when he's in the hospital, he's teaching. What kind of guy is this? Colleagues, knowledge is shared. Knowledge is shared. And the only way I can do this is by telling you what I know about what I know. And I kept on mentioning this, that if you cannot share knowledge, then you'll be like a peasant farmer deep in the village there, who plows the garden and replows it and fails to sow the seeds. We are sowing the seeds. Colleagues, if you see any lecturer who's interested in failing you, then it's not meant to be. I'm not a teacher, but I think I'm one by default. So we need to ensure that we support each other. I will conclude by saying, share with me those lists. And you people will continue. Somebody inbox me wants to see my home. My home is in a forest. It's in a forest. I actually planted trees, eucalyptus trees, in 100 acres. So whatever I will show you later is an effort of 39 years. Behind me here, this house here, I started constructing it in 1988, when I'd just come out of the police. I started laying a foundation, but I completed it after 15 years. But I've never slept in this house. Behind me here. But I decided to fence off 20 acres and put a home together with an apiary. I will just show you some few around where I am, but still in the forest. Nobody lives here except my mother. My mother is also living within the 20 acres, but she has her own gate. This place has got 8 gates. So I don't know whether I will have time to come and enjoy life here. My daughters, the last born is 30 years, and I've kept telling people she's the PR of Capital Markets Authority. The firstborn, I only have one son, and the 3 daughters. Second born is in the police. She's a legal officer. She's in Webaja Police College. For some of you in Uganda, you know it. Then the third born, she's in Dublin University. That's in Ireland. So my last born is to Kaylin. I think she's the only child with my name. You can go and Google her. She's a fan of many things. She keeps on telling me that all banks in Uganda are in her hands. So colleagues, yeah, last born is 30 years. My last born was born, actually the first born was born on 1st January 1990. Second born was born on 1st January, let me be specific, 1st January 1990, first born. Second born, 1st May 1991. So I was producing like a rabbit. My wife was the one determining it. Then the third born, 1st September 1993. Then the last born, 31st October 1995. So in October, she'll be making 31 years. So somebody is going to ask me why I talk about adoption. I've adopted very many children. I've educated them. I think over 50 now. They are not related to me. They are not related to me. The last one, we are going to have a son who is going to join ENT. That will be on Monday. That's why I must leave this place tomorrow. Support him. He wanted to come with me here. We have Marvin here, Marvin Bagenda. I have Marvin Kiagera. I think I showed you that young man. Adopted him in P7, immediately lost his mother. He came as a patient. So you can now see how desperate I am to have people to come and live in this place. I don't know whether you can see that. That is one of the buildings around. Can that be seen? This is the place, that's a hall. Somewhere here, somebody wanted to see this. So my home is the other side. I don't know whether it can be seen, but the home is the other side. My mother is that side there. But so many structures here. Then the pier is somewhere. It's a very big place. Very big place. I use this car for bringing the body. It's quite big, but I don't want to bore you. I just want to stop here. But maybe some of you will want to say hi to my mother. She's this way. The up here is the other side. I don't know, can you see that? But there's too much light. This was the first house. So you can just say hi to my mother. I have a tough dog here. It's a place. So Toto, is she in up here? So this is part of my compound. This was a request of one of the students boxed me. So this is the side I stay. But do I even have time to sleep here? When you're a policeman, you're supposed to move up and down. So my mother is somewhere. Toto, you can say Akironyo, itete jane. So that is it. So I can allow you people continue.
We haven't seen Toto.
Toto. I think somebody has heard you. Toto. Toto means mommy. She was greeting you. I've segregated these places. My mother is here. Dad, how are you? Very beautiful.
You have had Toto?
Yeah.
That's
Very
right.
nice.
Yalamanoi.
After
Toto,
I'm
Toto. Bible.
Ebo.
Yalamanoi, forgive me, just doctor.
Okay, colleagues.
Doctor, tell her
I've
that
not
we
had
thank
Toto.
her for giving birth to you.
Then I heard that she gave birth
Yes.
to a bright, young, hardworking man.
Ebo, yeah, I've already told her. So we're born 10 out of the 10 of us. I'm the firstborn. But one thing for sure that I'm proud of, I educated every other person. Now you're going to ask me how. When I became a policeman, the first thing I did, because I joined police when I was in S4. I just completed S4. So I used my small salary to uplift my brothers and sisters. That's what I had to uplift my brothers and sisters, educated every other person. I went back to school late. I went back to school in 1996 after the accident. And from 1996 up to tomorrow, I'm a student. Why? I normally tell students my problems. Every other person had started laughing at me that man is a certificate man. So I started challenging myself. So I think that is it for today. I would have taken you to the apiary. Apiary is down there, but I don't want to bore anyone. I have an apiary here of 1,000 beehives. So after this, I'm going to ensure that we do the burial. After the burial, I will stay here up to tomorrow with my workers and be able to travel back to Kampala tomorrow. So out of the 10 of us, I'm number 4. The firstborn is alive. The secondborn is alive. It's in South Africa. It's actually in KwaZulu-Natal University. The thirdborn is dead. It's the one I follow. I'm the firstborn. Then the fifthborn is alive. She's a girl. The sixthborn died. The seventhborn died. The eighthborn died. We lost all these people to HIV and AIDS. The ninthborn is alive. The 10thborn is alive. But all this has been through God's grace that a police constable had to stand to ensure that we made this home. So my grandmother, the one I'm going to exhume her body, my grandfather chased her away before my mother was actually married into this family. But my father used to go there to clean the grave and so forth. So when he died in 1995, that ceased to be the only born 2. Then the man married the other 4 wives. So those other 4 wives he married, they are the ones who have been around. So, colleagues, we are okay with this. I want us to stop here and continue with your presentations up to the time when we do the exams. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Doctor, thanks so much for that. For some reason, I'm no longer a co-host. And as Doctor has actually given us a lot to learn and also to be inspired, we are so grateful. And as Doctor is winding up, please, Group 5, be preparing. Otherwise, Doctor has done a great job and we appreciate you. You inspire us a lot. I want to be like you also.
Thank you. Future. I've made you a host now. We can continue from here. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Doctor. In the interest of time, I want to appreciate Dr. but also basically encourage Group 5 to prepare for this presentation. So Group 5, in the interest of time, please, Group Leader, come forward so we can actually start. Group 5 Leader, Group 5.
And as Group 5 comes, make sure you share all the slides among everyone. Share the slides.
Yes, Doctor.
The slides and all the presentations.
Yes, Doctor. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Over to you. I've made you a host. even if I will stay here until my, maybe until we finish, in case my data allows me. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you come forward? Group 5. Do we have someone from Group 5 presenting? Group 6, I think Group 5 is not ready. Group 6, are we there?
I'm there, but I'm not a host. I can't share.
Okay, let me make you a co-host here. So Shakira, you are now a co-host. You're able to share. You are now a co-host, and also in the interest of time, we shall be using basically wrapping up in about 7 minutes per group, and then allow 1 or 2 minutes for questions, and then you can actually move to the next group. So try to be a little bit descriptive, but also be it will be summarizing in the presentation.
So, good morning, colleagues. This is Group 6, and we are. I'm going to present the 6x6 methodological matrix. But the question was, a student's proposal notes the effect of leadership style on public employee performance using transformation leadership theory. However, it completely fails to map how abstract conceptual flow constructs translate into measurable variables, operationalized indicators, and a testable conceptual flow. So we designed a 6x6 matrix to address the logical connection between the theoretical framework and the research methodology. So it's not simply a table. It's going to demonstrate how a researcher moves from theory to empirical investigation. What we have to note is that before I proceed, we have to know that a theoretical framework is based on an existing theory that has already been developed and tested by scholars. And then a conceptual framework is a researcher-developed model that translates the theoretical concepts into measurable and context-specific variables. So on this 6x6 matrix, I'm going to pass through the rows that I use such that I can be able to explain the rest. So we have a variable selection which will address what concepts will be studied and why, and then the indicator development which will address how abstract concepts will be measured, then the hypothesis formulation which will address relationships expected between the variables, then the data collection which will address how evidence will be gathered to test the theoretical relationship. Then data analysis will address how collected evidence will be examined, and then the interpretation of findings which will address how results will contribute back to theory and practice. So if I'm the student, I will start with the theoretical framework or the theoretical mandate. So under that, transformational leadership states that leaders influence followers through idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and individualized consideration, leading to employee outcomes. So These theoretical concepts are translated into study variables. So leadership style becomes the independent variable, employee motivation, the mediator, and then the employee performance becomes the dependent variable. So if I use the Ministry of Local Government oversight of district local governments that is occurring currently, we can, if I'm the researcher, I will use the leaders, like I will check how leaders inspire employees to improve accountability, commitment, and service delivery, maybe in schools, on roads, and what. So if I'm to ask a question on this, we can suppose when we have studied, suppose we only study leadership style and ignore employee motivation. Can we confidently explain why employees perform well or poorly? So here we shall find that no, we cannot, because the risk omitted variable bias. Like we risk omitted variable bias, meaning our conclusions may be incomplete or misleading because employee motivation could explain part of the relationship. So to minimize this, we include a mediating variable and measure leadership as a multi-dimension construct. So once the variables are identified, the researcher must determine how each variable will be measured. And this takes us to the indicator development. So the theory explains what should be observed, but not how to measure it. Therefore, abstract concepts must be converted into measurable indicators. So each variable is operationalized into observable indicators that can be included in questionnaires and interview guides. So the leadership style, having the vision, let me say coaching, innovation, recognition, ethical leadership. And then the motivation, having more job satisfaction, commitment, engagement, performance, and the performance having the productivity, quality, timeliness, accountability, and service delivery. So these indicators allow the district local government employees to be assessed consistently. I don't know whether you're at par with me. So for me to bring you to this point, I can have a question like, how can we measure something abstract like inspirational leadership or employee motivation? Can we just ask one question? That is that is how we can eliminate the risk. So the abstract concepts cannot be captured by a single question. They must be translated into several validated indicators such as vision, coaching, recognition, and commitment to measure accurate and reliable measurements. So after developing the indicators, the researcher or the student predicts how these variables are expected to relate to one another. So that takes us to the hypothesis formulation. So transformation leadership theory predicts that effective leadership improves employee motivation and ultimately employee performance. So the conceptual framework now illustrates the expected relationships among variables and generates testable hypotheses. Hypothesis 1 is transformation leadership positively affects employee performance. Then the hypothesis 2 is leadership style positively influences employee motivation. Then the third hypothesis, employee motivation mediates the relationship between leadership style and employee performance. So this hypothesis tests whether transformation leadership can improve performance within Uganda's public institutions. So once these hypotheses are established, the researcher must collect evidence to test them. So this takes us to data collection. Theory, the transformation leadership theory identifies the information needed to test its assumptions made in the previous step. So evidence must therefore be collected on leadership behaviors, motivation, and employee performance. So the conceptual framework determines which respondents, instruments, and data sources are appropriate. So here we are going to use questionnaires to measure the leadership motivation and performance. Then we support them by interviews exploring employees' experiences. So data collected from the district local government employees, supervisors, and departmental heads is going to be helpful in this step. So the collected data must then be analyzed to determine whether the theoretical relationships actually exist. If I'm to ask a question on this step, if your supervisor is in front of you and I'm having my questionnaire, like, will you be able to answer my questions honestly? Will you be able to criticize their leadership when they are present? So I don't think any one of you can do it, because most of the times employees may give a socially desirable answer because of fear of the organization hierarchy. So to reduce this risk, I will ensure anonymity, I will ensure confidentiality and ethical data collection procedures. I can't ask you a question to do with leadership style when your supervisor is seeing you or when your colleague is with you. So I ensure confidentiality. I also make sure that the ethical data collection procedures are followed. So let's go to data analysis.
2 more minutes to wind up.
Thank you. So the theory predicts relationships among the variables that must be statistically examined. The conceptual framework determines which analytical techniques are appropriate for testing direct and indirect relationships. So we can have descriptive statistics, which will describe the variables. Then correlation measures the relationships. Then the regression tests the first hypothesis. The mediation and the mediation will test the second hypothesis and the third, and then the thematic analysis will explain the qualitative findings. So this analysis will determine whether the transformation leadership predicts the employee performance within district local governments. So the statistical results must finally be interpreted to determine whether they support or challenge the theory, that is the transformation leadership theory. So we go to the interpretation of findings. So research findings are compared with the propositions of the transformation leadership theory. So the conceptual framework explains whether the observed relationships agree with theoretical expectations or whether the contextual factors explain different findings. So we can have significant positive relationships supporting the transformation leadership theory. And then if we find out that the weak relationships, that what we've used just shows a weak relationship, this may indicate that maybe organization culture, bureaucracy, or resource limitations affect leadership effectiveness. So findings inform leadership training, policy improvement, and service delivery reforms in Uganda's public institution. So the research concludes by recommending improvements to leadership practice and future studies. So this is the proposed conceptual framework we try to come up with, and it is what I've been using to explain. I couldn't read everything in the table because time wouldn't allow us to complete. So that's all. Maybe if we had other questions.
Thank you so much, Shakira, for that presentation and the basically clarity you've given. Anyone having a question? Anyone Ottomans? Yes, Robina, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Umar, and thank you, Shakira, for the presentation. It has been so elaborative. Could you take me to slide 6? I assume this is your conceptual framework, and I know in the conceptual framework, the diagram that we normally generate includes the variables, which is the IV, then the DV, then the mediating factors, mini variables. In most cases, that's how we generate it. And in this case, I'm seeing you're including the hypothesis part there. Is it necessary to be included in that structure? Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Robina, for that question. It is not necessary, but I was using it to explain just in summary. That is why I wasn't following the presentation. So the conceptual framework is just including the independent variable, then the mediating variable, and then the dependent variable. But just in summary, more was explained in our document, but I couldn't do it because it was going to be congesting the PowerPoint.
So in other words, this is not, this is a summary, not the conceptual framework. Because if you name it conceptual framework, that means that the hypothesis part should not be included. So this would have been just a summary of what you are talking about, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Any other question? Okay, I think we are good to go. Group 7. Jemima, I think she's presenting.
Yes, I am. Good morning. My name is Jemima Kwango, and I'll be presenting on behalf of Group. Wait a minute. On behalf of Group 7. Let me share my screen. So Group 7, our question was a scenario question that needed us to select a suitable research design. I don't know if you can see my slides.
Yes, we are seeing.
All right. So our question was a scenario question. And this scenario that we were given was, it's a city authority that wants to understand why some informal settlements are experiencing higher insecurity than others. And the areas of interest that they gave us were physical layout, lighting, land use, policing practices, community vigilance, and the residents' perception to safety. So those are the factors that we are going to use to do our task, which was to advise on the most appropriate research design, and then to compare 7 research designs. And those research designs are case study, cross-sectional, descriptive, correlational, exploratory, experimental, and the mixed method designs. And then they also want us to justify our choice of the appropriate research design that we will choose, and then they also want us to explain how that design that we have chosen will affect sampling, how it will affect data collection, how it affects analysis, validity, and interpretation of data. So that is what you should expect from us in this discussion. First of all, what is research design? Research design is basically a framework that is created to answer that we create to find answers for the research question.
Yeah, do you intend for the sites to be moving?
Yes. Are they not moving?
I think so.
They
Which
are
slide
not
are you seeing?
moving.
No,
We're
they're
seeing
not.
the first one.
We are The seeing the sites first are not page. moving.
I'm sorry. Then when I do the whatever, I think that's when they don't move. Can you see?
Also put in the slide
They are moving.
in presentation mode.
When I put in presentation is when they are not moving. So, but you will see from here. Where had I reached?
You're on the definition of research design.
Yes, I had reached here. Okay, so I was explaining, a research design is basically a framework that we create to use to find answers for the research question. And it lays out how we collect the data that we need, how we measure the data, and how we analyze this data. And research, basically, a good research design is supposed to enable obtaining the appropriate evidence to address the research problem effectively. And so for every research design that we come up with, it should include 3 basic things. And that the first thing it should include is the research question. What exactly are you trying to find out? And it should also help with the measurement. What are you going to use to measure? That is the population on sampling. Who are you going to study? What are you going to study? And how are you going to pick this sample that you're going to use to collect data? And then the third thing that it should include is your data collection and analysis. What tools are you going to use specifically? Which software are you going to use to gather this data? What software are you going to use to interpret this data? Or basically that. And then we have to understand that research design is basically broadly is divided into 2 broad designs, and that is the quantitative research design and qualitative research design. Qualitative research design is focused on exploring the research problem and the investigation in depth, right? And qualitative research design is concerned with answering the why and how questions. Why this theory exists, what do people have to say about it? Mostly that is what we are looking for. And it explores meanings of things through words, through stories, through observations. And yes, I'm sorry. The designs commonly used in qualitative research is in interviews, participant observation, focus groups, case studies, and then analysis of documents. And then quantitative research design, on the other hand, is a way of collecting data using math and statistics. So it measures variables and it tests hypotheses using numerical data and statistic analysis. Yes, so it's mostly used to understand how different factors influence each other, and it also is used to establish cause and effect relationship among variables using statistics, and math. Then the most common research designs are types of research design are descriptive, correlational, and experimental designs. Yes. Then the methods which are usually used to do this quantitative research, surveys, experiments, rating scales. Yes. Then this is at a glance comparing them. If you're to compare the qualitative and quantitative designs, usually the goals are different, because now qualitative aims to understand a topic, to explore it, and to describe what it's all about. On the other hand, quantitative is its main goal is to measure and quantify variables, to predict and test their cause and effect between two variables. Then they are also different in the data type that you collect from these using in these research designs. The data type for qualitative is non-numerical. So it's words, it's images, it's behaviors of people, it's audio. And then quantitative, the data type that you're looking for there is numerical data, statistical data, figures, percentages, those things. And then they are also different in the sample sizes. Sample sizes, qualitative data, you just need a small purposeful sample size compared to quantitative where you typically prefer a larger representative sample size. Yeah. And then talked about collection methods in the other slide, and then analytic styles for qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative is more thematic, right? Focuses more on themes and patterns, and then meanings, coding, things like that. And then quantitative focuses more on statistical and mathematical, modeling to test hypotheses.
I'll add you 2 more minutes, if you don't mind.
Okay. Oh, let me move on to the actual work. So another design is also mixed methods. That one, it combines both qualitative and quantitative approaches in a study. Instead of if a study needs you to focus both lenses instead of just one. Then from our scenario, we need, what kind of data are we collecting? We are collecting data on the lighting, on the policing practices, on the lighting, which is a quantitative, which would fall under quantitative. Then for policing practices and residents' perceptions, those would fall under qualitative since they are, words. Then but we have some things that fall under the mixed methods, which would be the physical layout, land use, and community vigilance. Then these are the 7 research designs that we were to compare. Usually, the best method to compare these research designs would be, first of all, their purpose. You compare the data types that you collect from each research design. You compare their data collection techniques that you need for each. Then you can even compare their strengths and weaknesses. And then you use this information that you've gathered to decide whether this research design works for the research that you're looking for, that you're going to do, or not. Then for mixed method design, this is basically, I would say this works for most research that people do because it combines both the qualitative and quantitative approaches, and it captures both the kinds of data that you need to come up with any solution, with the solutions for the research problem that you're researching. Then we were talking about one of the things was the effect. Oh, have I told you? By the way, in our scenario, the recommended research design would use is mixed methods because it kind of cuts across and covers all the it cuts across and covers all the I'm sorry? Anyway. Yes, it cuts across and covers all. And then the effect of this mixed method design on some of these research components like sampling, data collection, is just general, that, like, for example, in sampling, it uses both probability and purposeful sampling. So that's how the mixed methods affects that. Then for data collection, it uses both quantitative and qualitative tools. We would need to use both quantitative and qualitative tools to collect data to solve our scenario. So, and then in the case of analysis, same we need, since we are using both qualitative and quantitative data collection methods, we need both these analysis, to analyze this data. That's how it would affect. We need both the qualitative and quantitative analysis methods. And then validity, also similar. It mixed methods, it improves validity through triangulation. We shall explain triangulation if we get a point. And then for the interpretation of data, the design, it allows researchers to produce more, it allows us to produce more comprehensive and balanced interpretations of the findings that we are looking for. Yes. So for our scenario that they gave us, we think the most suitable design is the mixed method design in order to study the difference in insecurity in these informal settlements. Yes, thank you.
Thanks so much, Jemima, for that presentation.
You're welcome. I don't know if you have any questions.
Alex, when someone has a question in 1 minute, but if not,
we can move on to the next group. Yes.
Yes. Group 8, I know Robin is presenting.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks so much.
I was having a suggestion that if colleagues can be able to post some of the questions on the chat, then maybe the presenters or the other group members can be able to answer from there because of time.
Yes, you're right. I agree with that. So shall be presenting mainly, and then any questions can actually be attended to in the chat room. So, Robin, as you come on board, it's actually approaching noon. You have about 7 minutes to get done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. This is group 8, and Kiden Robina. I'll be presenting with Asimwe Alex, who is also together with me. I will start first. So these are our group members, and this is the scenario. The scenario says a researcher intends to study the effect of remuneration on teacher performance in seed secondary schools in a municipality. The target population includes head teachers, classroom teachers, district education officials, students, and members of school management committees. Then our task is, using this scenario, explain target population, accessible population, unit of analysis, unit of inquiry, sampling frame, sampling techniques, and sample size determination. Critically, discuss how probability and non-probability sampling methods may be combined in a master's research study. So this is our presentation outline, and let me go straight. So in our overview, research methodology refers to the systematic procedures for data collection, analysis, and interpretation. The key components are here that we are going to talk about are the target population, accessible population, unit of analysis, unit of inquiry, sampling frame, sampling technique. So when we talk about target population refers to the entire group that the researcher intends to study. We are going, the researcher is targeting the head teachers, classroom teachers, district education officials, students, then the school management committees. We go to accessible population. Accessible population refers to the portion of target. We have said we are going to target the head teachers, classroom teachers, district officials, and those other target population that we need. However, them need to participate, and likely you will not be able to get all of them during the time of research. So that is specific portion of the target population that you can realistically reach. Based on our scenario, we shall be able to access some of the head teachers, some of the classroom teachers. Then for the district officials, because their number is always small, we shall be able to involve all of them in the study. Then some students and some committee members. Unit of analysis. Unit of analysis refers to a major entity that is analyzed in the study. So we are looking at the main people or the main character in this study. Yes, we are focused. We are going to target very many groups like the students, the committees, the district officials. But what are we aiming at? Whom are we studying about in this research? So that is what is referred to as the unit of analysis. And based on our scenario, the unit of analysis is the individual teacher, because we are looking at the remuneration of each of the teacher. So that means that the individual teacher in seed secondary schools is our unit of analysis. And we are focusing on the effect of remuneration on teacher performance. I hope we are together. In case of anything, you let me know. Then when we talk about the unit of inquiry refers to the respondents that are providing information during the study. So we are looking at those people who are able to give us the information that we need during the study that we are carrying out. So in this case, we have, based on our scenario, we have the head teacher, the classroom teacher, the district education official, student, then committee member. So Asimwe, you can pick up from there. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Rabina. So the next one is a sampling frame. A sampling frame is a list of all cases in a population from which a sample is drawn. Here we're looking at, basically in this scenario, you're looking at the list of seed secondary schools in the municipality that are serving as the foundation for identifying the respondents. You have a list of the head teachers. You have staff lists for classroom teachers, a list of all education officials overseeing seed secondary schools. You have school enrollment registers, and then, of course, lists of management committee members. Next slide. Now, sampling techniques here, it refers to methods used to select respondents from a population. Here, the sampling methods we normally look at are two in category. We have probability sampling and also non-probability sampling. When we talk about probability sampling, this is based on the principle of randomization, where a unit in the population has an equal chance of being selected. There are a number of techniques that we use here. You have simple random sampling, you have stratified, you have cluster sampling. So those are some of the techniques that we use in probability sampling. Under non-probability sampling, this is a method where participants are selected without randomization, normally based on judgment or convenience. Non-probability sampling does not give each individual a known chance of being selected, although it is widely used in applied research. And some of the examples here, we look at I've forgotten some here. You have purposive sampling. Yeah, that is one of them. And then there's also other areas you can look at. Next. Sample size determination. It is the number of respondents selected from the population. And it emphasizes basically the role in ensuring validity and reliability. And the determination of sample size is an essential step in planning a research, as it directly affects statistical precision, power, and resource use. Sample size directly, of course, influences representativeness and ability to generalize results to the population. So based on this population, on this scenario, we shall, of course, obtain the lists of the head teachers, the lists of classroom teachers, the lists of district officials, the lists of students and committee members. Those will be like a big N, capital N. So that is like a population. Then within each of that small population, we pick out a sample. And that's the formula that you're seeing there. So like N there should be N1, N2, N3, and then we use that, after that we have subsamples, and then we come up with the main sample.
I'll give you a maximum of 2 more minutes to wind up.
Okay,
thank you.
I'm about to finish. I think we can go to the next one. I'll get back to my sister Robina to explain this, and then we should be here winding up.
Okay, so we are looking at how mixed sampling can be applied at master's level. So when we talk about mixed sampling, we are referring to a situation whereby in a single research, you are using both the probability and non-probability sampling techniques. So it has strengths and weaknesses. The strengths, when using the mixed sampling, you are able to get a representativeness of the sample while using the probability sampling. Then the non-probability sampling will help you to get the in-depth information that you require for the study. Then it is cost effective because you are using 2 methods in one study instead of using them separately, which might be costly. Then it gives richer insights. You are able to dig more. There are times when you do quantitative study and you feel like you wanted an explanation on something, but you're not able to get it because it is quantitative. So in that case, if you apply also the qualitative part, because when you're using the non-probability, it will be for qualitative part, you are able now to get in-depth information. You're able to get a richer information on it. So the weaknesses include requires careful planning. It is a tedious procedure, requires careful planning. It needs a lot of time, labor, and analytical effort. So if someone really does not have much knowledge on it, will not be able to carry it out. There is also challenges with the integration, bringing the data together. The quantitative and the qualitative can become so challenging sometimes. So how do we apply it? Can be applied in sequential hybrid design. In this case, the person can start with the probability, then you exhaust whatever that you want to do in the quantitative study using the probability sampling. Then now you can move to the non-probability one. Then can be used also in mass imputation. In this case, in case there is a missing data that is missing in some records, it can be used so that the missing data can be fixed in. So that is what it refers to mass imputation. Then supplementing rare groups. There are some rare groups that can be used in a study. So in most cases, the information may not come out well when only one sampling method is used. So that is when, if combined together, it can be exhausted. Then weighting and adjustment, this can be used in case like after combining probability and non-probability samples, the weights can be applied to correct imbalances. If there was any imbalance in the probability sampling, can be covered up with the non-probability. So based on our scenario, we can use stratified random sampling for teachers, then purposive sampling for officials and committees, then convenience sampling for students. So that marks the end, and these are our references we used. Thank you, and over to you, Umar.
Much, Robina, for that presentation along with Jesse. I think in the interest of time, I can have the questions in the chat. But at the moment, I want to understand the group leaders of group 9 to to make a co-host for you to present. So, and also then, maybe. Any group which is ready can actually go on to present. I want to make sure every group is presenting, and let me know which group it is so I can actually make a co-host and I can actually save time. So group 9 to 15, whichever is ready, you can let me know.
Group 9 is ready. I'm the one going to
yes,
present.
Go ahead.
Let me share my slide. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much, members. This is Group 9, and we are presenting the scenario of designing research instruments. And the student is studying organizational culture, leadership style, expert integrity, and forensic service delivery in a national security institution. So the student is required to use questionnaires, key informant interviews, focus group discussions, observation, and documentary review. So, and the task is we are to design a methodological plan for data collection in the study, where we need to explain the strengths and limitation of each of the data collection method, the types of instrument used or required, how questions should be constructed, how tools should be pre-tested, and how triangulation can improve the quality of the evidence. So, per our group, we know that we are discussing the methodology. So here it is set the methodology used to investigate how the organizational cultures, lives, the leadership style and expert integrity relate to forensic service delivery. So we are going to use a mixed method approach that combines measurable organizational data with the subjective human experience. That is according to Creswell, 2013. Then the confidentiality and ethics emphasis on institutional protocol, given the security sensitive setting, because we are going to do the investigation and collect this data from the national security institution. So the data that we are going to collect is so very confidential and is very sensitive. And in case you don't follow the ethics, then you can fall into a problem. Then the systematic framework, we have guide collection, analysis, and interpretation of data. The research design, we have which is a cross-sectional mixed method design that we are going to use, and this is a blueprint linking research questions, objective, data collection, and analysis. The quantitative approach, we are going to have a structured questionnaires that collect numerical data on the perception of organizational culture. And here, of course, the questionnaire can be in a Likert scale where we have strongly agree, or average, or disagree, or strongly disagree. And this one enables us now to numerically collect those data that we can use to analyze the information that we are doing. Now, the qualitative approach, where we have the key informant interviews that we collect some information from them. We have focus group discussions, where a group of about 10 to 15 participants will be gathered. Then also these groupings are done based on the roles or responsibility the different people are having in the institution that we are going to make the research from. And this gives, of course, detailed meanings and interpretation of institutional practice. Then the study area, here we are looking at the Directorate of Public Prosecution of Uganda. And the Directorate, of course, they are responsible for forensic investigations and related security operations, which are very critical. And the structured institutional environment for examining the study variables. So in this Directorate of Public Prosecution, because we have a various group of people that we are going to gather this information from. So we have the specialized forensic personnel, the formal leadership and administrative structures on the ground, the established institutional policy and procedures that are available also documented, then the sensitive forensic and investigative responsibilities. So there are various departments, and these departments include the anti-corruption, the gender, children, and the sexual offenses, the land crimes, general casework, appeals, and miscellaneous applications. So these departments, these ones, of course, each one handle different cases and also investigate these cases based on the policy that are required for such kind of investigation when needed. So when we look at the anti-corruption, they have their own procedures of how we do it, how they do the investigation, and how they collect this information for the use. Then the gender and the children and the sexual offenses, of course, this is, we know, things related to children offenses. So somebody in anti-corruption cannot join the gender, children, and sexual offenses to do that unless
I'll give you 2 more minutes to end up. 2 more minutes.
Okay. Then the study population, we have about 700 participants drawn from personnel in the forensic investigation. So we have the ethics, the lab personnel, the HR officers, forensic experts, senior management, and so forth. Then we use the Yemen's formula to determine the sample size. So using that formula that you are seeing there, we're able to come with a sample size of 255 participants who will take part in this research. Then the sampling techniques, we use the random sampling, where every staff member has an equal chance of being selected. The purposive sampling, this targets senior managers, ethics officers, and the departmental heads. Then the stratified sampling, which are more of probability, respondents are divided into strats, and these informations are collected. Now, the data collection methods here, we have the questionnaire, which are structured and the close-liked items. We have the key informant interviews, where we have semi-structured, in-depth discussion. People are grouped according to their units. Then questions are given for them to discuss. We have observation, which is also a method where one need to go on the ground to make some observation of how the structure of things work. And this requires, of course, some experts and knowledge, because if you go for observation, you need to record whatever is there. You need to have a checklist of what you're observing. You get some detailed information. Then we also have a documentary review, where you use you get the policies that are available. You look at the manuals. You look at the reports of the investigation that were done, and the performance appraisal, and even the annual report that the directorate has compiled. Then the strength of the questionnaire, of course, you can reach many respondents efficiently at any time. It's cost effective. It doesn't need a lot of money compared to other methods. Then the limitation, there is a limit detailed explanation, because the questionnaires are, all the ideas are directed to the questionnaire. So there is no way somebody can also now have an extra mind of giving more information. For the key informants, we have the strength, which is rich, detailed information. They are very flexible. It allows clarification and probing, suited to sensitive topics. And the limitation is time consuming because, key informers, you need to ask a lot of questions from them also to explain. Then you take note of those information that are given. And it requires the skilled interviewers. If you don't have the skill really to interview a key informant, it will be very difficult for you to collect correct information and also use the information in order to analyze and come with a conclusion. Then we also have the focus group. This is like
as you wind up.
Yes. Just a minute. We have the observation where you get the checklist, cover leadership, interaction, staff contact ethics, and also the documental review. The second last is the pretesting. These are instruments administered to a small, similar but exclusive group to identify ambiguous questions. So this pretesting, these are now the questionnaire that you have. Before you carry out and use it, you need to do a test to identify the gaps and also see whether it is related to the objective and the hypothesis that you are doing. Then the validity, the phase, content, and the construct validity confirmed by expert and supervisor review ensure alignment with the study objective. The reliability are there. Procedure for data collection, they are explained there. So explain the purpose of the study. You seek information, consent from the people you are going to collect this data from. Assure confidentiality, the schedule, and up to the point of the record and the stored data security. So the triangulation, of course, the questionnaires are there, the data analysis, the SPSS, the starter or Excel frequency. I think that is why we can stop with the interest of time. The ethical considerations are there and conclusion, and that is it. If there are questions,
Thanks so much, Group 9. And also in the interest of time, I think you've done a great job explaining all the various data methods and so forth. So for the next groups, in case you really see that there is basically some slides that have those same, tools and methods, basically you can just basically wrap up quicker and then go to basically the key slides and then basically explain those ones and then wind up. So in that we can actually save more time instead of like each group explaining the same tool, the same methodology, the same. So where we have uniformity, you can just skim through. But thanks so much, Group 9, for that presentation. It is wonderful. Group 10, are we ready?
Omar, as Group 10 comes, I have a question for Group 9 is in the chat. They can answer from there.
Thank you. Group 10 or Group 11? Group 12, are you ready?
Hello?
Which group is this?
This is Group 12.
Okay, please. Yes. Are you ready to present?
Yeah, I'm ready. I think 2-3 of us are here. But our group leader, she had gone to the hospital. And the assistant, she's, I think, not even feeling well. I don't know the rest of the group members.
So are you able to present on their behalf?
Yes.
Okay, you can actually go on with the presentation, and also let's keep them in our prayers so they can actually recover quickly. I'm going to make you a co-host. In case you are not, then you can start. So you are now a co-host. You can start the sharing and then reading out through the presentation. So I also give you about 7 minutes. So by 11:35, you should be ready, winding up.
I hope it is visible.
It is. Do you mind putting in presentation mode? Are you there?
I am here, but I'm trying. I can't see.
So
where
there
to
is
go.
they at the very bottom there is towards that slide bar on your right, which basically increases the percentage of basically the scale. There is basically some, I think you've seen it. Have you seen it? There's more like as if it's a glass at the very bottom on your right.
You can even present like that.
Okay, it's okay. You can go ahead.
But is it visible?
Yes, it is.
Yes, we are seeing.
In group 3, group 12, we were given a scenario that a student submit a proposal using both questionnaire and interviews. But the methodology section does not explain how the quality of the instrument and findings will be assured. The task that is used in this scenario explain validity, reliability.
The slide is not moving. Please.
I'm still here. At the question that
All right.
using the scenario explain the validity, reliability, credibility, dependability, conformability, and transferability. Discuss how a researcher can ensure quality in quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods research through expert review, pre-testing, pilot study, triangulation, audit trails, member checking, and consistent data collection procedures. These are the group members. Introduction of the questions. Why quality matters. Through quality, we produce accurate results, trustworthy, meaningful things. Therefore, through quality, we reduce errors and bias, reflects real-world scenario. Key quality concept, we have quantitative. Here we have validity and reliability. Qualitative, we have credibility, dependability, conformability, transferability. Mixed method, we have triangulation, pilot testing, and expert view. Validity here refers to the extent to which a research to reach a research study measures what is intended to measure and whether its results can be trusted and generalized, according to Anderson et al. 2024.
You have about 3 more minutes just to keep in mind.
Is the slide visible? We have types of validity. We have phase validity, content validity. We have content validity, construct validity, concurrent validity, and so forth. Here we looked at pre-test. We look at test and retest reliability. We said test and retest reliability gives the same test to the same people twice. If the scores are similar, then the test is reliable over time. Looking at internal consistency, reliability, check if all the questions on a test are measuring the same thing. For example, do people answer similar questions in similar ways? Moving forward, we look at equivalent form reliability. We say it creates two different versions of the same test. Then if people get similar scores on both, which means the test is reliable. Looking at the split half reliability, we say split a test into two halves, like the odds versus the even question. If both halves give similar scores, which means the test is reliable. Looking at inter-rater reliability, we say when two or more people judge or score the same thing, if they give similar scores, then this rating is reliable. Credibility, according to Mosa 2017, that credibility is the confidence that can be placed in the truth of the research findings. Credibility establishes whether the research finding presents palpable information or credible information drawn from the participants' original data and is a correct interpretation of the participant. Here, say credibility ensures member checking. It ensures member checking, peer debriefing, triangulation, prolonged engagement. Here, when looking at members checking, you say is spending enough time with the people about your topic that you're studying. This will help you really understand them and you build trust with them. So you don't in doing so, you'll not be able to miss some important details about your research. Triangulation, that using triangulation, more than one sources of information like interview, observations, attachments, and more so as a researcher, if all these points are to the same conclusion, you can be able to get a correct result. Peer debriefing, discussing your findings with the fellow researchers or experts who is not part of that study that you're carrying. You can also ask some tough questions to them. They can be able to spot where the bias is and check if your conclusion does make sense. Member tracking, you also look
as
at
you wind up.
We look at dependability. We say dependability, the stability of finding over time. Dependability involves participants' evaluations of the findings, interpretation, and the recommendations of the study, such that all supported by the data as received from participants of the study. This according to Mosa 2017. How this ensure dependability? You say audited trials, consistent procedures, and triangulation. Here in consistent procedure, we look at that keeping details step by step, all the records and everything in your research. You take note take note. The decision that you'll make will change all along the way. This is like a paper. You try that, let others check your work. Is it correct? Or where adjustment needed, you'll be able to guide you. Triangulation, using multiple sources, methods, and research to cross-check your findings. If different approaches, all this gives you the same result, then it shows your results are just good.
Henry, as you wind up, we're out of time.
Looking at the quality check for questionnaires, we look at, as I said earlier, we look at the face validity. You need to have 3 to 4 experts to review your questionnaire. Content validity, check all aspects of concepts, whether they are covered or not. Construct, use factor analysis, concurrent, compare with the standardized scale, reliability, test and retest, give questionnaire twice.
Next slide, if you don't mind. And the next one. Next one. Yeah, you can actually wrap up on that one if you don't mind. So I think, Henry, you've done a great job in presenting the content, just that we're out of time, but I'm sure the team, our colleagues, will have more time to basically go through what you have in your presentation. I think it's a lot of good content that we can actually benefit from. So in the interest of time, we are going to have a maximum of 2 and a maximum of 3 groups and a minimum of 2 groups to present. So we are going to have group which is actually on our screen right now, and then group 15. If time allows, we shall have group 10. So we want to be sure we are done as soon as we can. So
can I proceed?
Group, you have 7 minutes, please try.
All right, we are good morning everyone again. We are group 13 and we are going to present on academic integrity in research with a particular focus on plagiarism, originality, and ethical scholarship in master's research. So these are the names of the group members, and these are the points that we are going to cover in this presentation. Academic research only has value when people can trust its findings. And that trust depends on researchers being honest, transparent, and ethical throughout the research process. At the master's level, students are expected not only to gather information, but also to think critically and contribute original ideas. And unfortunately, pressure to meet deadlines, lack of understanding, or misuse of technology sometimes leads students to compromise these standards. And when this happens, it affects not only the student's reputation, but also the credibility of the university and the value of the qualifications it awards. Academic integrity refers to conducting academic work with honesty, fairness, accountability, and respect for intellectual property. It means giving proper credit to the work of others, presenting accurate findings, and taking responsibility for the work you submit. Academic integrity is therefore much broader than simply avoiding plagiarism. It reflects the ethical character of a researcher and helps ensure that research findings remain reliable and beneficial to society. The first major breach is plagiarism, which occurs when someone presents another person's ideas, words, or work as their own without proper acknowledgement. Plagiarism may be intentional or accidental, but both forms are considered academic misconduct. Closely related is self-plagiarism, where a student submits work that has already been graded for another course without permission. Although the work originally belongs to the student, presenting it as new creates a false impression of originality. The key lesson is that every source, including our own previous work, must be used honestly and appropriately and with credit. Many students believe that simply changing a few words is enough to avoid plagiarism, but that is not true. Good paraphrasing requires understanding the original idea and expressing it completely in your own words while still acknowledging the source. Another common problem is incorrect citation, such as referencing sources that were never read, omitting page numbers for direct quotations, or incorrectly attributing ideas. These mistakes reduce the transparency and credibility of academic work, even when they are unintentional. Fabrication and falsification are among the most serious forms of research misconduct. Fabrication involves making up data, interviews, or references that never existed, while falsification means changing or manipulating genuine data to produce desired results. For example, claiming to have surveyed 200 participants when only you surveyed 80 participants, or removing responses that contradict the research hypothesis seriously damages the integrity of the research. Such practices can mislead decision makers and reduce public confidence in scientific findings. Artificial intelligence has become an important tool in education, but like any tool, it must be used responsibly. Using AI to improve grammar, organize ideas, or enhance writing is generally acceptable when university policies allow it. However, relying on AI to generate complete assignments, create fake references, analyze data without verification, or replace personal thinking is unethical. Similarly, ghostwriting, where someone else completes academic work on your behalf, is another serious violation because it misrepresents who actually produced the work. Ultimately, a master's degree should reflect the student's own knowledge and critical thinking. And this slide summarizes the 4 major academic integrity breaches that we have discussed. So let's move to the strategies for students. Students can promote academic integrity by developing good research habits. First, instead of simply collecting information, they should critically compare and synthesize different sources. Second, using reference management software like Zotero and Mendeley or EndNote helps organize citation correctly. These do not generate ideas for you, but use what you already have and help you generate only references that can enhance those ideas. Third, beginning assignments early reduces the temptation to plagiarize due to deadline pressure. And finally, plagiarism detection tools such as Turnitin should be viewed as learning tools that help identify mistakes before final submission rather than as tools to avoid punishment. And here are some strategies for the universities. Universities also have an important responsibility in promoting academic integrity. This includes providing continuous training on academic writing, referencing research ethics, and responsible AI use. Institutions should also monitor research progress through staged assessments and presentations instead of evaluating only final dissertation. Clear AI policies, oral defenses, like in this case, mentoring programs, and student support services all help create an environment where honesty is encouraged and academic misconduct becomes less likely. And as we conclude our presentation, academic integrity is essential for producing trustworthy research and maintaining the reputation of higher education institutions. Thank you. I think I'll stop here and allow questions, or maybe we'll move on to the next group. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Makere, for the presentation. In case someone has a question, please, you can follow through the chat, but I think you've used your time so well. So group 15 will follow next, if they are ready. Group 15, are you ready? We just want to make sure we use our time efficiently. So we have about 7 minutes.
Yes, so group 15 is ready. Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see the screen, please.
Yes, thank you, and good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. So group 15, we were given an assignment to develop a research proposal planning metrics on public sector performance and health service delivery, which we did. So we are 15 members and we are group 15. So what we will cover, we will look at the introduction, we will look at the problem statement, the objective, the research questions, the hypothesis, variables, theoretical foundation, the research design, population and sample size, data collection and analysis plans, ethical consideration, and expected contribution and conclusions of the research. So the background of this study is all about, like I said, health system strengthening. And in many African countries, we are actually faced with inadequate health quality, post-start motivation, reinstitutional accountability, and persistent urban-rural health outcomes disparities. And that was said by WHO 2022. And so looking at that, we have the total of 37 to 45% of our health worker absenteeism rate that has been reported in Uganda. So the problem statement is all about despite the sustained government and donor investment in Uganda, district level health facilities continue to deliver services of inconsistent and often inadequate quality. And they also look at health worker absenteeism, the level of supply chain, the supervisory role that is being played, and the accountability mechanism. All of these contribute to the gap that we are discussing today. And our research gaps, we actually is actually looking at the lack of existing study that have examined formal performance management practices, target setting, supervision, feedback mechanism, and incentive structure. And all of this relate to the measurable health service quality indicators at the district level in Uganda's central region. Now, we have three specific objectives of this research. And the general objective is to examine the relationship between performance management practices and the health service delivery quality within the district health system in central Uganda. And these are our three objectives that emanated from the general objective. And the research question, we have three separate research questions. So the first one is looking at the performance management practices are applied in the district health system in Uganda and how systematically are they implemented. The second one, we are looking at the health service delivery quality in the selected district. And the third one, we are looking at the relationship between the performance management practices and the quality of services that are being delivered within the district. And these are our hypotheses. So we have hypothesis 1, we have hypothesis 2, and looking at our variables of the study. So we have the independent variables and we have the dependent variables, followed by the moderating variables. So the independent variables, we are looking at target setting and the goal clarity, the supervisory system, the feedback and the appraisals, the incentives and the rewards structure, accountability and reporting. So all of these will contribute to the effectiveness, safety, efficiency, the timeliness, equitability, and the patient content or patient centeredness, which we refer to as our dependent variable that come out of the independent variables. So our theoretical foundations, we are looking at three separate theories that contribute to this research study. So the first one looks at the principal agent theory, the second one looks at the new public management, and the third one looks at the resource-based view. So all of these theories are all about how to come up with an effective health system in ensuring a quality delivery of services within the district. The research design, so we are actually looking at the cross-sectional mixed method design. So we're looking at both qualitative and quantitative. Now, our population, we'll be looking at 1,800 health workers across the district. And among this number, we have our sample size of 359, taking into consideration the 10% of non-responding rate. So we use the Yamin sample size formulation, which calculates the sample size by looking at the population being divided by 1 plus the population multiplied by the margin of error, which is 0.05 rather. So if you square that, you will have 0.0025. So when you do your calculation, you will come up with the total of 327 as our minimum sample size. And when you calculate the 10%, you will have it increased to 359, which is our total sample size for this research. So what are the methods and the instruments we're going to be using? So we'll be looking at the quantitative. So for quantitative, we'll be looking at structure self-administered. So because of limited resources, we will be sending out the questionnaire to the respondent to fill in and send it back to us. And we'll also be, and that will be done using the Kobo Collect Tools by platform. And for the qualitative, we will have a semi-structured key informat interview, and that will be done with the DHOs and the MOH officials, plus focus group discussion. And we'll also be getting data from our secondary sources to help minimize the already limited resources we have. So our data analysis plan, so we'll be calculating the frequency, the means, and the standard deviation using the SPSS version 26. And we'll also be looking at the relationship between our variable and our independent variable using the Pearson correlation analysis calculation method. And we'll also be doing moderation analysis via Hines process Magro, and the qualitative will be looking at thematic analysis. So ethical considerations, national level, institutional level, and individual level. So we'll be looking at three separate ethical considerations. For the national level, we're going to ensure that we obtain clearance from the Uganda National Council for Science and Technology before we proceed in the field. For the institutional level, we're going to ensure that we have approval sought from the University Institution Review Board. And the individual level, we're going to have written informed consent in the participants' reference language to ensure that they actually understand the content of the questions that they're going to be responding to. And what contribution will this research make to the wider society? So we look at academic, we look at policy, and we look at practice. And theoretically coherent, methodological defensible. So it's implied for critical thinking, methodological judgment, academic reading, practical applications, and AP87 start citation. And thank you. This brings us to the end of our presentation, and we are open to questions. Thank you for the opportunity. God bless you.
Thanks so much, Charles, for the presentation and for managing the time. Unless someone has a question, you can actually have your question answered in the chat. But I think it's been a great presentation, everyone. So, Michael, is it brief?
Yes, it's very brief. Class coordinator. Good afternoon, colleagues. This is Michael. I'm a member of Group 5. I actually joined late, but then I got to know our group has not presented. So I don't know if we already running out of time. I don't know if we can have time or we have to wait for next session. Over, class coordinator.
Thank you so much. Let's see how these last two groups go about their work, and if we still have more some few minutes, we can actually allocate for you. Thank you. So group 10, you can actually come in the interest of time. You also have about 7 minutes to basically present. Group 10, are you ready?
Yes, President, I can go ahead. Let me share. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, we
can see.
Okay. I know it's way past time, so I will be as quick as possible. Our group was tasked with explaining data analysis and interpretation in a mixed research. So those are our group members. This presentation will basically cover these thematic areas. I'm not going to mention them each because we will share the slides. I'll just go straight into it. Now, we have 3 approaches to data analysis, as we may have mentioned many times in this class. We have qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods. Basically, qualitative is where we organize and examine, interpret numerical data, while when we are dealing with numerical data, it's mostly quantitative. So mixed methods, which we will be dealing with in this topic, is where you combine the 2 methods. You have 3 methods there that can be used, 3 designs that can be used in mixed method design: convergent, explanatory sequential, and exploratory sequential. So now going back to the heart of our question, what are the things that you do when you are analyzing data? And the first things that you do is to prepare the data. Now, when you're preparing the data, and here we have usually 2 kinds. We have talked about the qualitative and quantitative. When you're dealing with qualitative data, the first thing that you may have to do is to transcribe the data. That is where you convert audios, videos, and notes into written form that will be able to be analyzed. From there now, you can do your data cleaning. And usually when you are cleaning data is where you are removing errors and inconsistencies that may exist in data. This is usually the first step in analysis of data. You check for missing data, duplicates, outliers, and errors in coding. If you're dealing with qualitative data, you can also verify the accuracy of the transcripts that you have prepared. What are the 5 checks that you are doing before you even start analyzing the data? First, you have to confirm that you do not have any missing data. You have to confirm you do not have duplicate entries. you have to check for outliers. Usually, as you are doing your research, you realize that most data will congregate around an average. So if you have responses or you have data that is extremely low or extremely high, you might want to confirm if it is due to an error. Coding inconsistencies, we're going to find out what coding is, but you have to check whether you have made mistakes when you're coding. And then if you're dealing with qualitative data, you have to check the consistency of the responses that you have received. When you're dealing with qualitative data, you also have to check whether there are errors in transcription. So when you are transcribing the data, you have to ensure that you have not made any mistakes. Removing irrelevant context, and when you're dealing with interviews, also de-identifying the respondents. Now, data coding. Now, when you are dealing with information, sometimes we use numbers or numerical categories to classify data. For instance, on the screen, you can see we have analyzed them. You are given, maybe if it's in a questionnaire and you're asked a question and you are told, if you're strongly agreeing, you choose a number, maybe 5 as you are indicating there. If you strongly disagree, it's number 1. So in response to the question, you're not going to type strongly agree or neutral. You're just going to choose a number from the selection. That is the coding. In qualitative data, you can also be using phrases. For instance, anything that is money related, any challenge that is money related, you can give it financial constraints at its code, so that then that is the term you'll be using throughout your research. Now, summarizing the data. Here, you describe the basic features of the qualitative data that you are analyzing. And you can do that in various forms. You can use frequencies. That is, you measure how many times a particular response is appearing. You can use percentages. You can calculate the mean. Then standard deviation is a measurement of how far a particular response is from the mean that you have calculated. The next thing they do, inferential statistics, this is where you test the relationships in the sample, and there are various ways of doing them. You can see we have 6 of them on the slide that we are showing: correlation analysis, regression analysis, hypothesis testing, the chi-square test, the ANOVA, and the correlation regression. Next, thematic analysis. We have the 6 steps. The first step is familiarization, where you are repeatedly reading the scripts to understand the responses. Then you generate the codes. Then you search for themes. After you've generated the themes, you search for the codes, you search for themes within the data. Then you review those themes, then define and name them. Then finally, you prepare a report. Once you have done the analysis, now you have to present the results. And there are 2 ways you can, if you're doing quantitative, because in this question that we are handling, you're doing mixed methods. So basically, it's both. In quantitative, you can use tables, bar graphs, line graphs, charts, and so forth. But qualitative is usually in narrative form. So you can classify the information into themes and sub-themes that are easier to understand. And when you're doing this, of course, you are not just restating what you got from the field. This is what we're talking about, interpretation. You have to relate the findings of this research to the objectives. Every research has its objectives. You have your research questions. So whatever you have found in the field, it has to relate to these research objectives and the questions. Then you compare the findings with previous studies, link the findings to the theories and the conceptual frameworks. And remember, in the morning, Doctor told us that even if he doesn't ask us conceptual framework, we have to include it somewhere. Then finally, if you have any unexpected findings, then you have to explain it in your results. Then finally, the integration of findings, that is where now, remember we have in mixed methods, you have the two of them going together. You have the qualitative and the quantitative. Somehow, at the end, you have to integrate this information into one. So that's why we are talking about the various ways that you can present it. You can do it narrative, which favors the qualitative part of your research. You can do it in tables, which favors more the quantitative side. You can do a side-by-side side-by-side comparison, of the data that you have gathered. So the last question that we were asked is to find out what common mistakes that people do or commit when they are handling research. And those are the 6 that we identified. Poor data cleaning. As you're preparing your data for analysis, you do not do proper cleaning. You ignore missing values or duplicates and so forth. Or you can use wrong statistical tests, or you can, when you have finally found your results, you can misinterpret those results. When you're doing a mixed methods research, you fail to integrate the two parts of your research, the qualitative and the quantitative aspects. You can also fail to link your research to the objectives. Basically, when you're doing a research, you are answering a question, and that question is linked to your objective. So if you don't link that, whatever you have found in the field to the objectives of the study, then that is an error that you're committing. Then inconsistent coding, the numbers that you're assigning, if they are inconsistent, then of course it's going to reflect in your results. You are not going to get the accurate information that you're seeking for. So, President, I think I can stop there. I hope I have spared enough time for Group 5. Questions again can go to the chat as we had agreed earlier.
Thanks so much, Group 10, for the presentation. It has been good. So, Group, I know Emma is coming in. Emma, that's for Group 11.
Yes.
Emma, you're around?
Yes,
Yes, please,
I'm
the floor
around.
is yours. Yes, the floor is yours. So you have about 7 to 9 minutes maximum.
Okay, Mr. President, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present. Once again, colleagues, my name is Emmanuel Aleng, and I'm presenting this on behalf of Group 11. And we are handling research ethics in sensitive institutional settings. And in particular, we are looking at the police, the military, health facilities, and correctional institutions. These are the group members. We have 15. We are 15 in number. And our scenario question, we are saying that a student wants to conduct research in police, military, or health or correctional institution, where respondents may fear victimization, exposure, or administrative consequences if they give honest response. So the task, which basically summarizes the roadmap of this presentation, we're supposed to discuss the ethical issues that may arise in this type of study, and particularly explain informed consent, voluntary participation, confidentiality, anonymity, risk minimization, gatekeeper permission, data protection, power relations, conflict of interest, and ethical approval. And we're supposed to show how these ethical concerns should be handled in a master's proposal. Yeah, so colleagues, when you're doing research in sensitive institutions, issues around ethics become a different kind of undertaking, because these institutions, we're saying that they are characterized by hierarchy and centralization. There is power centralization. We have command structures, and this can limit free flow of information and people having independent voice and choice to say or feel free to say what they feel they need to say in response to your research. And because of this, there is also a power imbalance. We have that hierarchical nature. It means that there are people that are above others and those that are below others. So it makes it more tasking when it comes to handling issues around ethics in such settings. So the power imbalance can lead to people losing their employment, or even someone gets to be treated badly after participating or providing a certain kind of data. And then there is issues around restricted expression. People are not free, or respondents may not be free to speak openly and provide information in these kind of settings, in police or in the military, and conducting research in these institutions usually involve topics that are very sensitive. We're talking things like misconduct or even abuse of authority or mental health, or we're trying to ask around service delivery issues or performance of the institution. And some of the principals may not want some of these information to come out in a study. Yeah, so there is fear of victimization really in these institutions. So we end up having silence and not achieving honesty in providing the information. So there are issues around cyberbullying at the workplace. This is where victims or participants in the research study fear or they hide their experience because they are fearing their colleagues, or they're fearing to be seen as people who complain. And then there is workplace incivility, where participants fear to report the different incidents that are taking place or have been taking place in the workplace because of such kind of fear. Then when it comes to prison-based research, there is issues around gatekeeper control, and that has or is characterized by lengthy approval processes, and this delays the research process and also leads to affecting the independence of the research process. So the ethical concepts that we are to discuss in detail, we start with the informed consent. Basically, informed consent tells us that if participants should be free, to participate in the study when they are fully aware or they are fully informed of why the study is being conducted, how the study is being conducted, there are risks of participating in a given study, the benefits that they may receive as a result of participating in the study, and the rights that they have. So the challenge when it comes to sensitive institutions like the police or the military, or even health institutions, we have authority and there is surveillance at all times. And as a result, members or participants in the study usually find themselves in a situation where they have limited autonomy to consent freely to participate in the study. So at times, oftentimes, we find ourselves in a situation where we're just signing the consent form when the participant or the respondent is not 100% willing to take part in that kind of study. And how can we handle this? So we can treat consent really as an ongoing process throughout the research process, not just as a one-off signature of signing the consent form. we need to use plain language. We need to allow time for reflection. We need to welcome questions from the respondents when they want to talk to us, and other things that we can also do. Then voluntary participation. Voluntary participation, we know that is a situation where
I'll give you more 3 minutes if you don't mind.
Okay, thank you. Let me move a little bit faster. Yeah, voluntary participation is where individuals should feel free really to take part in the study. Someone should not feel that they are being forced to participate in the study. But when it comes to sensitive settings, again, like the police or the military, oftentimes the directive or to participate in the study comes from above. You know, when you're doing a research in this kind of settings, you need to write to, let's say we are talking about the Uganda police, you have to write to the Inspector General of Police to receive clearance to undertake the study. So the people that will eventually, or the police officers that will eventually be recruited in this study, they may view this kind of invitation as a directive rather than feeling free to participate in this kind of study. So how should we go about this? We are saying that we need to keep supervisors out of the recruitment. For instance, if you want to construct a sampling frame for your study, you may need to ask the police and probably the human resource department to give you the list of the various positions in the department or in the forces, and then you do the sampling by yourself, not them influencing the sampling on your behalf. Then confidentiality. Confidentiality, we are talking about as the researchers being able to protect the participants' identities and their information throughout. So we need to protect all the information that respondents provide to us. But in sensitive institutions like the police or the military or even prisons, protecting confidentiality may sometimes be difficult. And when it comes to anonymity, we are saying this is a higher level than confidentiality, because we are saying that when we are talking anonymity, even the researcher, as the researchers, should not be able to link the data back to the participant. But in these institutions, again, colleagues, we are the demographic data that we shall be collecting, like the rank or the age or even the gender of the respondent, can indirectly lead us back to whoever provided the data. So how do we ensure anonymity in these kind of situations? So we need to be transparent about what level of anonymity is realistic. And if it is not realistic, we need to strengthen issues around confidentiality. And some of the things we can do around anonymity is using pseudonyms and careful data management as advised by Sezowski and Sylvester. And when it comes to risk minimization is about, participating in these studies involve risk. These people are risking. And what we're supposed to do is to identify the risk, assess the risk, and reduce any potential harms that may be posed to the study participants. We need to ensure that we limit or minimize their risk of participation as much as possible, because in these settings, in these sensitive institutions, the risks are a lot, and they have grave consequences. We have psychological risk, we have economic risk, because someone can lose their job after providing information. So we need to ensure that we minimize this risk. So what can we do to minimize risk? We need to do a risk assessment. We need to design tools that do not threaten the respondents. We need to allow participants the opportunity to pause or even withdraw from the study if they discover in the middle of the interview that the questions that are being asked could cause them all serious consequences. So we need to also take that into consideration. Then there is the issue of gatekeeper permission, where authorities restrict or lengthen the process of accessing the survey respondents or the prospective respondents. So these administrators or even the ethics committee, they control access to the respondents, and the situation is even worse in sensitive settings, because these gatekeepers, they are trying to protect some of the secrets, or so they don't want this information to come out, even when you're very clear that your study is probably generally academic in nature. So how should we respond to this? We need to ensure that we have a clear protocol that we have documented, and we need to always maintain independent judgment as we go into these kinds of studies. And if there is any attempt to influence the selection of the final or the ultimate respondents that should participate in the study, we need to try to restrict, to ensure that doesn't happen, like we saw earlier. And the issue around data protection, here we're looking at the legal, technical, and organizational measures that should keep the data secure. We need to keep the data secure from unauthorized access. Yeah. So, but in sensitive institutions, we may get access to digital record. Yes,
Emma, two more minutes at time. 2 more minutes.
Okay. All right. Let me quickly conclude. How should we ensure data protection? We need to follow the laws. For instance, in Uganda, we have the Data Protection and Privacy Act. So we need to ensure that we follow all the necessary laws around that. Then there's power relations, looking at power flows in multiple directions in these kinds of settings, from the institution to the participant, from the gatekeeper to the researcher, then from the researcher to the participant. So we need to take note of that. Then the conflict of interest, if there is conflict of interest, we need to also ensure that we declare the conflict of interest. For instance, if we have some students who are in the army, and you may find yourself in a situation of conflict of interest if you're studying the army as a student. Ethical approval, we need to ensure formal authorization from recognized RECs or Research Ethics Committee, and also we need to ensure we are registered with for instance, if you're in Uganda, we have the Uganda National Council of Science and Technology, because this challenge again in sensitive institutions is that these institutions need extra layers of approval. For instance, like I said earlier, you need to write to the chief of the Army Chief of Staff, before you get access to the soldiers that you want to participate in the study, for instance. Yeah, so you need to plan. You need to deliberately plan for extended timelines from the word go, so that you are not delayed in doing this. So what we need to do as students, we need to ensure that we have a dedicated ethical consideration section in our research proposal. We need to ensure we protect consent and ensure there is voluntary participation. We need to protect confidentiality, and we need to develop a data protection plan. We need to develop a strategy to engage the gatekeepers. We need to also develop a risk assessment matrix. We need to address all the issues around power and conflicts of interest, and we need to plan for multi-stage ethical approval because of the long process that is involved. And we need to treat ethics as a continuous, not necessarily as a one-off undertaking. So ethics is part of the research, really. It's not something that is just formally attached to it. So not simply just having a dedicated ethics section, but embedding ethics throughout the research process. So that brings us to the end of this presentation. I want to thank you, Mr. President, and our colleagues for listening. Thank you so much.
To finish, 5-7 minutes to finish up before we can actually wrap up this class. So if group 5 is ready, they can actually walk through what they have basically for completeness, say that we have each group given a chance. So group 5, are you there? Group 5, I think Gordon was there to present. Here is that concern, but I don't know if he's still with us. Group 5, are we still there? Group, was it group 5 which raised the concern whereby they wanted to participate? I'm not so sure. Was it Michael? Michael, was it you who raised the hand?
Yeah, class coordinator, it was group 5, but I think they have gone off. That's why they're not responding.
Oh, okay, I see. So basically, is there any group that has not presented and they're here? I think we have all presented, so we can actually try to wind up with this class. So I want to appreciate everyone for being patient to ensure that each group has a chance to participate. But also I want to thank all of you for walking this journey with us throughout the entire module. It has been wonderful. So I want to wish everyone best at the end of the semester. But before I go, it's really important that I do appreciate my vice, Doreen. You've been an amazing person, so I can't end without thanking you for the commitment, for the availability, for the assistance you've given me throughout this module. So if you don't mind and you're available, you can say a word to close this class, because I know this is our last class of the semester. Are you there, Doreen? I think she's not available, but I want to thank everyone for the presentations and for time, and I wish everyone the very best. And if you don't mind, you can share the PowerPoints and possible documents for those who want to have more depth about what you've been presenting. So I did share an email whereby I want to basically consolidate the documents, all the PDFs and the PowerPoints, and a OneDrive whereby each person can have access to it at any time they wish to have. So that's it from me, unless someone has anything else to say before we close, but I think we are good.
Okay, thank you so much. This is Peter. For me, I just want to appreciate you so much for moderating these discussions. I really appreciate you for also being fair to all the groups, and it's my prayer that all of us pass this module. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Peter, and I really appreciate you for those words. And we are going to all do great at the end of the semester. Anything else? Yes, Patricia, do you want to say something? Patricia.
Omar, thank you so much. We really appreciate you and Doreen for coordinating this module, representing us as our class representative. I don't have much to say, but yeah, good luck everyone in the forthcoming exams. But Uma, before I go, the professor mentioned that people who are not satisfied with their marks, they should inbox you. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Basically another attempt. So he said I do coordinate that, though he didn't say that it will happen, but he will try, given the number of people and basically the reasons we put forward. So yes, you can follow up with me after the class.
Yeah, because I know a few people who missed that test.
Any other concern that you want us to raise to doctor after this class or in the middle of the week?
Not at all. I was asking for a colleague who I know
Oh.
is also not in this class, but I will let him reach out to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Patricia.
Okay. Thank you, Omar. Bye.
Yes, Charles.
Mine, Umar. I just want to thank you, and then Nakakande Dorin, for leading us in this research methods. Thank you so much, colleagues. I'm sure we are going to pass, and as we end this course, let's be together. We shall be together even if we are done with this course. I want to thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Charles, for that. And yes, we shall be in touch since this is a global village and we have a lot to accomplish together. So thanks so much. Any other concern before we end, or anything that you wanted us to put forward for doctors? He comes back.
Maybe we request that all group team leaders who are presented to send in the main group their presentation so that we're able to go through, and also in case of something it will help us also to capture up for examination. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's well noted, and I think we shall coordinate. And I'm sure group leaders will do their best to post. For those whom may forget, we shall definitely be following up as a team on that. I think that's it from me. Unless someone has anything else, I want to wish you a good weekend and all the best as you prepare for the final exams.